So, I'm a new guest today, and since a year, I tried to manage a podcast with her. It's the Miss Naimah, or Naimah. Before I continue, maybe you could introduce yourself.
Okay, so I'm a naturopath practicing in Australia. I believe in holistic healing, and when we say holistic healing, I mean the human as entirety in mind, body, soul, and different frameworks will consider also other things included in there. I've been practicing for over 12 years in this space and, specializing in different areas to begin with. I started with, natural fertility, then I went into skin, and then I did some further studies in traditional medicine, and then now coming back, I'm actually going into counseling and psychotherapy. So yes, I believe in continuous education. It makes me a better practitioner, but then it also helps with wherever I am we're meeting my clients, then I can help them, inshallah, to the best of my ability.
Okay, I love the questions. I start with these. The first question is always, how was your childhood?
How was my childhood?
Yes.
My childhood, I would say, was a pleasant, yet nothing big happened. I am the middle child of a family of 7 children. So I would say I used to live under the radar a lot, and I used to get up to things a lot under the radar. And I think when I say get up to things, everybody has like a different kind of idea of what that means. For me, we used to have this word that meant, in our language, it meant like fiddly hands, where like your hands are curious, like you just can't let something go. You always go to like touch it and it probably will get broken or wrecked because you're trying to figure it out. And so that was my nickname growing up. But yeah, I had a lot of I had my sisters always around me, playing with my brothers, played outside a lot. We had neighbors that we used to always play. It's very different growing up now, I think, and back in that time.
How's your relationship with your parents?
I would say my parents' parenting style is quite formal, so they don't have that. It's a parent, and you are the child, So it was like respecting elders was a big thing, and adab and etiquette towards how you're supposed to behave towards your parents, how you're supposed to behave towards even our siblings that are older than us. We have to kiss their hand. We have to kiss our parents' hand. So it was a very respectful type of upbringing, where that was one of the biggest foundations of the relationship. And so I think over time, growing up in Australia, it's very different. And so growing up, becoming an adult yourself, navigating that, okay, where am I now as an adult? How do I navigate? Also, now my parents are a lot older. So even just the life cycle of myself and my parents changing, I think that relationship has actually changed over time a lot.
How's your relationship with money?
Oh, these are pretty deep questions, isn't it? I feel like I'm in a counseling session here. How's my relationship with money? I don't give much thought to money, which is probably something like I'm working on, because again, I think as Muslims, maybe that might be another thing with, that money is part of the dunya, and so you shouldn't have so much importance on it. You shouldn't place, it's not the be all or end all, which is definitely true. However, in that, I think it's finding the balance between what is a good or healthy way of viewing money so that you can actually budget, towards things, and also at the same time be able to enjoy your money as well. I definitely, I think, blow the budget all the time. Yeah.
What are you afraid of?
What am I afraid of? Like any phobias?
In general.
In general. I feel like I live in a bit of a bubble. So I think maybe outside of oh, this probably should be a normal easy one, because it's not like I'm not like somebody who's like fearless, but I can't think of what I'm actually afraid of either though. I guess any of my loved ones getting hurt, that's probably one thing.
If you were not afraid of anything, what would you do?
If I was not afraid of anything. So these are questions that I've been asked before many like years ago, and I remember I had a clear answer back then, and I think it was like 7 years ago I got asked this question. I remember
7 years ago, not 8, not 9,
8,
7.
not 9.
So the
6,
number 7 is in your head.
Yeah, 7 years ago I remember doing this coaching course, and they asked this question, and they said, if you weren't afraid of anything, what would you do? And I remember at that time I did feel like it was a scary thing to get in front of an audience. And at that time I was running workshops, and it would be so nerve-wracking to get in front of an audience, and it would be so stressful, and I think that was one of the fears. And they said, okay, so if you weren't afraid, what would you do? And I said I would promote wellness, and I would promote holistic healing in a way that I don't hold back, which the fear of talking to a larger audience was holding me back at that time. And yeah, I guess now I don't have a fear of talking to a larger audience. So I am doing what I want to do. But I guess it does, like, that question you asked earlier, what are you afraid of? And my answer was my loved ones being hurt. I guess probably when I do things, that's probably at the back of my mind. Hopefully, how does this affect them? How does my behavior, or how do my decisions affect my loved ones? But if I didn't have to worry about that, these are big, huge questions. And you ask it all your audience, all
the same questions, yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's interesting. So, I would do so much, because then I would feel like, I feel at the moment is my time is divided between also, sharing that with the people that I'm responsible for. And so if I didn't have to worry about that, I would probably do more again with education of holistic well-being, even alternative therapy, especially in cases where preventative health, where people are really, really sick today, and younger kids, young adults, they've got illnesses that they are forever on medication, and they're in pain, and their quality of life is decreased, and it doesn't need to be. And I think that is something that I have seen with my own eyes, but it is not part of the normal healthcare system, that I feel like it definitely needs to have more awareness. And because I do see it, I feel a sense of responsibility towards that.
Interesting. So I will change the type of questions. The 2 questions about your business will be asked. So the first question is, why do you promote health from within?
Why do I promote health from within? So I guess it started off from my own experience as a younger kid with skin issues, psoriasis, and I was told that you have to use a steroid cream, and then B, there is no cure. So those 2 answers. So I did use the steroid cream, and I was using it all the time until a different doctor told me, actually, you're not allowed to use the steroid cream every single day, and it is not like a permanent solution to a skin issue, and it's actually damaging. And that was from another doctor who I was just coming to him for a repeat prescription, and I was in a different city, and that's all I wanted was just a repeat prescription. But he was the one who told me, no, you're not supposed to. And I think I was only about like 13 or 14 years old at that time. And so it forced me, I was a bit of like, again, that curious, I've always had the curious nature. So what happened at that time, there was no internet. I went to the library. I was reading up on books on, okay, so if I can't use this cream, and it was on my face, so I'd come to school and the students would ask me, why is your eyebrows red? Why is your nose red? And so as a young teen, that is something that is very, very important, right? Probably as an adult, it wouldn't have been such a big deal, but at that time, that was a huge deal, enough for me to go into the library, read all the books of what would cure, how I would get cured from this skin issue. And just reading all the books made me find like a whole world of herbal medicine, nutrition, eating well, even things like yoga and Alexander technique. And I also had my mom's friend who, she was somebody who just looked so vibrant, and she was like 20 years older than my mom and her friends. But her skin was amazing, mashallah, and she was the instructor for all the younger ladies on the Alexander technique, and she was very flexible and mobile, and she used to carry around with her this brown jar of like a brown glass jar of like a herbal mixture. And so when I saw her and I'm reading the books, that made me think, okay, that's something I want to pursue. But I think now I'm at a very different level now, where I've been practicing it. I've been seeing it with my own eyes. I've been seeing the changes in people's lives with my own eyes, that it's like, I don't even know how there can be another option. I don't know why it is not normal, why it's not just one of the first point of contacts when you're sick, or when you're just trying to be better, or as soon as you notice a bit of weakness in your body, understanding the signs and symptoms, what they mean. It all means something. As like the Western society today, we generally we don't pay attention to those symptoms, and we don't know what it means, right? Whereas traditionally, maybe you may have had grandparents, if you ever grew up with grandparents, that would say things like, go make yourself this, aniseed tea, or go put socks on, your feet shouldn't be cold, or use this oil. And they may or may not have even told you the name, or it may have been spoken in a language that it's not even a language you use anymore. But traditionally, they were very aware to self-medicate using natural remedies at home. And so the need for a doctor did come only when things were pretty bad, right? Whereas now our health issues come from also lifestyle choices, diet choices that we have. And I think half of the diseases that we have are really just lifestyle and diet consequences. Like, if you're going to live like that, if you're going to eat those type of foods that's not real food, well, obviously that's how your body's going to respond. So then I think where I'm at now in terms of why I think it's important to promote healing from within is because I've seen it now.
What do you mean with lifestyle? Do you mean like sports and food only, nutrition only, or is there anything to add on?
Even things like living in line with nature. So like morning time is supposed to be the time for activity, nighttime is supposed to be for sleeping. So if people have issues with sleep, they need to fix that. That's not normal. That needs to be supported, because over time that's going to create imbalance and disease within the body. So that's one thing. Another thing is some people, one of the biggest things that I think is happening in today's day and age is stress. And so the overwhelming pressure that one puts on themselves, and that can be the lack of community around us, that could be the lack of family and the lack of connection with other human beings, can also be a factor. And sometimes it's just the internal state of mind of people today, because the lifestyle, which might be sleeping patterns, connections with other human beings, like the amount of work you do and around what time you do that work, the balance between. And then, physical activity as well is a big one, because, the average Western lifestyle is more sedentary. And so that's why we've got the gym, right? Because it's not natural within our lifestyle to be walking to the shops or walking to our friend's house. How often do we even meet our friends and do visiting as well? Again, something I think from our childhood, probably we don't see as often anymore.
The second question is, and this is quite interesting, can be healing done without being God-centered?
I think so. It depends if you're talking about what type of healing. So if you're talking about physical healing, mental, emotional healing, or spiritual healing, or holistic healing. So physical healing, you've got an infection. As Muslims, we believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one that gives shifa, but can that infection be cleared with a physical form of medication? Yes, can. And we believe that Allah is the one that does that healing. But let's say somebody who's not Muslim, they could take that same medication and God can give them healing. But when we're talking about deeper state of healing, mental, emotional healing as well, you can go to a psychologist that is not Muslim. You can use CBT. So you can use certain types of therapies that don't look at the human being as a whole. So they will look at the mind and the body as a measure of, and without looking at the human having a soul or a heart. So there is no heart or soul involved in that type of therapy. And so to an extent, you can say that is going to be helpful, that is going to heal a person through anxiety, for example, certain situations that can help them. But when you're talking about true holistic healing, and even in a non-Islamic term, let's say we're talking about self-actualization, then we talk about a higher. Oh, okay. So we're talking about a higher being or higher power that, and for some could be Allah, and for some others they believe in other things. But even that belief in a higher power is going to be helpful in the healing journey, especially when we're talking about holistic healing of mind, body, and soul. However, as a Muslim, I would say that you will get to a point where there will be a block, right? And so it's when you get to that level and when you get to that blockage, and because healing is a journey, and I don't think somebody could actually say I'm completely healed. So that journey, or that spectrum of that journey, you could go on, but you will hit, I believe you hit a brick wall. And at that point, some people can go spiraling down because they don't know where to from there if they don't believe in God. and whereas then others do find God at that point.
Okay, my laptop didn't have any. I just had to bring the charger. That's why I had to go and come back. So, the next question is, and we're back with the psychological questions. If money is guaranteed for life, for you and your family, and the generation after you, but the condition is you have to choose a job, what would it be?
Naturopathy.
Miss Naimah in one word.
Sorry?
Miss Naimah in one word.
Miss Naimah in one word, I think it will be content.
If you have your own heart in your hands, what would you advise it?
Be gentle with yourself.
What's the best moment in your life?
Having my kids, there was a moment where I had just, my kids with me, sleeping in bed together. Yeah.
Any regrets?
No. I believe everything is written for a reason. So, no regrets, alhamdulillah.
The last question is, what makes you you?
I think I'm an evolving piece of a person. But what makes me me today, I think in everything I go by and, the things that I do, it's pretty much God is what drives me. So, yeah.
We're done.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Naimah. Thank you
You're
for
welcome.
asking this question.
It was very deep questions. I feel like
I hope it has a
I think in time to sit with it. Sorry?
It has a purpose. Someone can rethink about their past traumas, and I think you're in the best field to answer these questions about healing. But if you want to say something, please go ahead. If not, then we're done.
I'll just thank you for having me. I think it's going to make me sit with those questions a little bit more after this as well.
Thank you.